Good evening to all pro wrestling fans of all shapes and sizes from all around the world. Welcome to another special edition Pro Wrestling Talk brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the Tube. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram, and my guest for this special episode, you know, it was oh so nice I had to bring him back twice. Those of y'all may recognize his voice from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. Rawkuz99 in the house. Welcome back, brother. How you doing tonight?
Good evening, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, everybody is enjoying a pretty eventful weekend.
Indeed, and I have to say, it's been a great weekend. It's also been a great day. I know some of y'all already know today is my birthday. Um, Turned 42. Um, Happy and blessed to made it another year. And that just means that another year added on to bringing y'all more of that pro wrestling content. So this won't be any different. So let's jump right into it. We're gonna start off with a PLE that just happened a little bit earlier today, and that is WWE Clash in Italy. Of course, for those that checked out the archive, we did the preview. So now we're back for the review. Whew. Well, it let's just say it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but we're going to expand on that. So we're going to jump right into it with the very first match that happened, and it started off in a big way because the first match was for the undisputed WWE Championship as the champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, defended against the ring general, Gunther. Now, of
Uh,
course, oh, go ahead.
no, I was about to sneeze. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're good. So, now, of course, this wasn't the first time these two have met. Although I do find it kind of interesting that the last time they faced each other, um, they shook hands after the match. This time, not so much. Um, I mean, the match was all right. I mean, I'm not gonna say it was anything, any shade of an instant classic, but I mean, the match was all right. The match lasted, let's see, 11 minutes 35 seconds. So, I mean, I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't say it was anything too crazy special, but I don't know. Was there anything that stood out to you about this match?
No, it pretty much played to the standard formula that a Cody or Gunther match normally plays into, which is basically a lot more physical, a little bit more slow paced. Basically, it was interesting that this was the match that they chose for the ESPN app. Granted, we know there was another match that was supposed to do this, but I can understand why they didn't do it. But at the same time, it's unfortunately showing a little bit of, at least kayfabe wise,
Hmm.
they're showing that Cody's leaning more into more heelish ways to win, not overtly heelish,
Right.
because the main point in the contention is the fact that when he got the 3 count for it, Gunther had his foot on the outside of the ropes, which
Yes.
normally should count as a rope break.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, plausible deniability. The referee didn't see it. And to my knowledge, the WWE refs are still trained to do the counts as if it were shoots.
Hmm.
So that's going to be a bit of a point of contention, and it still feeds into the storyline. But there wasn't, unfortunately, not enough build for this to really get that little emotion, that the little emotional push that you normally need to have with Cody matches. Right.
Right.
Gunther tried to lean into it by leaning into pretty much low hanging fruit with him at this stage, with Cody at this stage. His tattoo, making it Europe versus America, a notion that Cody apparently in an interview took very, very high offense to
Hmm.
for understandable reasons. But it was a good match. It wasn't anything that either of these guys will say is going to be probably in their top five of the year.
Right. I have to definitely agree with that. And I mean, we've seen many situations where the ref has turned a blind eye to, missing a foot on the rope or, missing a shoulder coming up at the last second. So I really just chalked this up as to they'll probably play into this story a little bit more, given that this was the outcome. But that's pretty much all that I really took out of this. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say it was memorable, but like I think you said it best, it did what it needed to do.
Yeah, that's the only main thing I can do because I kind of understand in a way why they picked this match and over the other match that was supposed to open up
Mhm.
over it, which should be, folks. It was the Brock Lesnar versus Femi match.
Mhm.
Because one thing that you people have noticed, and this is obviously one of the big divides between what you can consider the IWC and the live audience,
Mhm.
the people that go in. The IWC, for the most part, is pretty much tired of Cody.
Yep.
They have they unless he goes full Homelander, they don't really want him having the belt or at least being on the top of the picture for a good while. But look at the reaction. Now, granted, this is an international audience. You have
Yes.
to keep in mind when it comes to WWE, international audiences, like flat out, if they're performers, they overperform a lot over American crowds.
Yes. Absolutely.
But even in domestic crowds, we have not seen that turn that most people were expecting with Cody. The same type of turn that AEW fans made
Mhm.
against. You haven't seen that, so as long as that keeps happening, Cody's going to be in the driver's seat, whether a lot of the IWC likes it or not.
Yep. No, that's very well made point. And you know, given what we've seen happen with the attempted heel turn that John Cena went through, I mean, did not go as well as many may have hoped. Could be a fair argument to put on Cody Rhodes as well, but it remains to be seen if they ever do decide to pull the trigger and open that can of worms. I don't think they will, but
Yeah, I don't think so either, unfortunately,
yeah,
because the last time they tried to do it was with Cena,
yeah,
and they we all saw the result of that.
yeah, it was bad, real bad. But Cody got the pin on Gunther, hit a crossroads, went for the cover despite his foot being under the rope, which the ref missed, and therefore the American Nightmare still undisputed WWE champion. Like I said, we'll see if they maybe try to play that up. I mean, afterwards, Gunther argued with the ref. The ref's decision stood. Okay, now let's go to the next match. And I have to say, this one ended up being a lot better than I thought it was going to be. This was probably the big surprise for me. So the WWE Women's Championship match, Rhea Ripley defending the title against Jade Cargill. Now, this match lasted 16 minutes and 57 seconds. And I have to say, this was probably Jade's best match in the WWE, like best singles match. Like, I was actually legit pleased with this match. And I'm normally not that crazy about Jade Cargill, despite her having the athletic ability, having the overall look. But you know what? I was very pleased with her performance. Uh, what did you think?
Arguably, the best two matches that Jade Cargill has had in WWE have been with Rhea Ripley,
Mm-hmm.
which, like I said, speaks into the way Rhea Ripley can lead a match at this stage. And also, luckily, at the same time, does show certain limitations that Jade Cargill has.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of needs somebody that can match her actual strength for strength
Makes sense.
to make the match actually look really, really good. And right now, the only three people that I can see do that right now, based on looks alone, Charlotte, Rhea Ripley, and Jordan Grace.
Ah, that's a good three. That's a good 3.
Mm-hmm. Mostly everybody else has a hard time, and it was an issue in her when she had the TBS title at AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Is why the reason they structured the matches to be more Goldberg-esque, which is just quick swash matches.
Yes.
But you kind of need her to be a little bit more than that at this age. Even with the heel gimmick, even with B-Fab and Mia Yim as lackeys, you need to be much more than that going in, especially if you are trying to have the experiment going where she's gonna have that belt again by the end of this year, and they're probably gonna keep it on her for a good while.
Interesting. Okay.
But what they have to do is prevent what they're currently doing with another situation happening. I know you kind of teased them to it when it came to the Queen or the Ring tournament, and unfortunately, that they're very, very limited what they can do with somebody that can go with Jade. I know, like we mentioned when we did the preview, she really, really should have had at least a year in NXT
Yes.
to fully learn like different styles. Like I said, and learn pretty much how to lead a match herself.
Right.
Because if you're a champion, normally, if a company deems you as somebody that is worthy to be a champion, you should be able to lead a match fairly well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I don't think Jade's there.
Yeah. I definitely feel like it's gonna be one of those things where she's just gonna end up being a late bloomer. I mean, which I guess is better than nothing, even though, like you said, it's fair to have that expectation that hey, if you're gonna be a champion, like you need to be able to, carry yourself performance wise, all of the above as a champion. Otherwise, why would they even put you in that spotlight? So, I mean, I really just chalk it up to, you know, her being a late bloomer and, you know, better late than never. But I have to say, the main thing now is how can she continue to follow up on these performances? Because a one hit wonder is one thing, but with the build up that they've done with Jade just over the course of her pro wrestling career. AEW and WWE, like there's got to be a point where it's like, okay, you either like are gonna hit the mark and run with it, or you're gonna be a one-hit wonder. So
Pretty much, yeah. The thing about it when it comes to Jade is we mentioned it. She has the look.
yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, she has the look when it comes into it, but we've seen plenty of examples in wrestling where people that have had the look and not have much of everything else, not exactly lead up into career. Like, to be fair, like nobody's gonna have. There are very, very few people that are gonna have a run that, for example, the Ultimate Warrior had, where he was able to get a lot of accolades, a lot of popularity, despite the fact that he was really, from a technical standpoint, not really good in the ring, but he had the look.
Yes, and that's definitely a good example when you really think about it.
Yeah,
Um,
we just want was we really just want Jade to succeed at this point because you can tell that she's going to be a long term project,
mhm,
but she shouldn't be a project for long.
exactly. But hopefully this performance just continues to boost her going forward, and but and not to mention being able to have the lengthy match that she had. I mean, because you look back at AEW, like it was rare that she had a match over 10 minutes because so many of them were squashes. So to really see her be able to endure and actually have these 15-minute plus long matches, she's come a long way. We just hope she continues to grow. That's the main thing. Um, of course, she had BFAB and Meechin in her corner. They played into effect until, of course, Charlotte Flair came out to even the odds, and pretty much Rhea was able to uh, take care of things, hit a Riptide on Jade, and then pinned her for the 1, 2, 3. Rhea Ripley, still your WWE Women's Champion. And of course, there was a segment backstage where Jade beat up on Charlotte Flair. So looks like that could be the next feud, Charlotte Flair and Jade Cargill. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, but it does leave a little bit of window open when it comes to Rhea, and that's probably going to be one of the discussions that we need to have when it comes to the Queen of the Ring tournament.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Okay, next up, well, they decided to run this one back. So here we are once again. Here we go. Brock Lesnar versus Oba Femi, round two. Well, um, I guess it, well, I guess it kind of was a squash, just a little bit of a longer one. Match lasted 6 minutes 21 seconds, and it was just, I mean, a barrage of F5s. Oba kicking out after the first four F5s. He took a F5 through the announce table and then stood up like the Undertaker. Um, yeah, like I don't know what words you really describe this other than Brock Lesnar got his lick back.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you can say. Brock got his lick back, and to be fair, like when we mentioned the preview, we all knew this was happening.
Yeah,
I think it's just a notion of the fact that I know the reaction was not exactly very kind to the match
right.
because the word that immediately came up was buried. I wouldn't consider this a burial.
Agreed.
Because if Brock would have hit one F5 and then pinned Oba and he would have won, then you could consider it a burial.
Right.
But the fact is, like I said, first, we all knew this was going to be the outcome. And second, I think we mentioned in the preview, Oba's not going to be exactly hurt
Right.
by this loss.
Exactly.
So let it run its course now. It does open up certain possibilities. One of them is that they have this run it back. Did this be Lesnar's retirement match in SummerSlam?
Hmm.
But it's looking more likely, like I said, that's going to be what Gunther's next direction is going to be. But at that point, the next show that's going in is going to be uh, the the Saudi show, Night of Champions.
Yeah, Night of Champions. Yep.
Now, do you wait to do it then? Because that's going to require an extra payday for one Mr. Lesnar.
Right.
But it's a situation where they may not have a choice unless somehow they're going to have Brock wrestle two matches in SummerSlam, since we know SummerSlam's 2 nights this year.
Yes.
But like I said, there's not much that, like I said, there's not much you can do. Like to me, Oba kicked out of like 4 or 5 F5s, and more interesting enough, was able to get out of a Kimura lock.
Yep. Sure did.
So we don't know what you wanted to say in that manner that people didn't want to expect, unless people just really expected for then Oba to have like a Goldberg level run, which we all knew he wasn't.
Right.
Not with the way they're presenting him. He wasn't.
And that's a good point too, because I mean, even when you look at his work in NXT, I mean, he didn't really squash anybody in NXT. Like it was rare. Like he was showcased well. His opponents got their licks in for sure, but he definitely showed that he could endure, withstand onslaughts, and come back, give the final blow to either win the title or retain the title, whichever you want. And, you know, I have no doubt Oba Femi will be a world champion on the main roster. It's coming. It's only a matter of time. And who knows? It could be sometime this year, or heck, they could save it for his crowning moment at WrestleMania. Maybe perhaps he wins the Royal Rumble next year. But that's what I was kind of thinking as far as, when that moment would be for him finally winning the title. And I know you had mentioned Night of Champions. And see what's interesting, the path to SummerSlam, because we just finished Clash in Italy. You got Night of Champions. And then in July, there is a Saturday night's main event in July, and then SummerSlam in August. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of do things en route to SummerSlam when it comes to Oba Femi and even Brock Lesnar.
I could see them doing. I could see them legitimately doing Saturday night's main event, because it's always a show that they want to highlight. But also, like I said, unless you're going to have Brock work 2 matches in a row in SummerSlam, it's one of the only options that you have.
Yeah, I just hope that this next Saturday night's main event will be better than the one they just did, because that one was a mess. But
That one, yeah, that one was a lot of a mixed reaction. I can say that.
yeah. But indeed, Brock Lesnar got his lick back. It took 7 total F5s. Um, Oba had him set up for a fall from grace. He slipped out the back, hit the 7th F5, then pinned him for the 1, 2, 3. Um, but yeah, I think it's safe to say that it's not over between those two, and I think we're gonna get that rubber match. So should be exciting. Should definitely be exciting. Um, and something tells me when they do have that rubber match, it'll be a lengthy match, not a squash.
Yeah, because at this point you really can't do anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, back to the ladies for this one. So, we had the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship on the line as the champion, the man, Becky Lynch, defended against Sol Ruca. Okay, this match lasted 14 minutes and 2 seconds, and I have to say, that did not take long at all from Sol Ruca making her main roster debut up to Clash in Italy, was on a losing streak, but kept fighting and fighting, and she struck gold and was able to hit that one of the pretty much one of the coolest finishers in pro wrestling today. Hits a soul snatcher on Becky Lynch, pins her for the 1, 2, 3. Sol Ruca is your new WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion. Already her first main roster title. Rawkus, what you got to say on this one?
This was probably show stealer match of the night for me
Oh, okay. Yes.
because it showcased a lot more of what Soul can do in in the ring,
Mm-hmm.
and compared to what she has been shown to be able to do in the main roster. And also at the same time, it did do the one thing that WWE is trying to push a little bit, which is kind of have Becky be this kind of, I don't want to say like MAGA adjacent character as far as the way she reacts,
Mm-hmm.
but more in the lines of somebody that, like I said, she has the big ego. She knows what she wants to do. They're not showing that for when it comes to Becky, because the subtext of this match has also been not only Becky versus Soul, but it's been Becky against referee Jessica Carr.
Yes.
Keep in mind, Jessica Carr was a former wrestler, but it looks like from recent reports they have been more than willing to maybe entertain the idea of her getting back into the ring. In fact, I
Mm-hmm.
think she did have a match, I believe, either in like an Evolve or an NXT house show recently. So the possibilities there, and Becky acting like, oh, she's been wrong by this referee, because if you notice, almost all the title matches that she's had has been with Jessica Carr's referee.
Yep.
So in a way, it kind of feels like, oh, she's out to get me, the whole thing.
Right.
But at the end of the day, also, like I said, it shows a good example of somebody that is willing to count the lights for somebody that they don't need, that they may not need to. Like if if Becky wanted to politic and say, she's not ready yet, I can understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But now at the same time, like I said, this is She's dropped it to Maxine Dupree. She's dropped it to AJ Lee. Now she's dropping it to Ruca. Like Becky has shown that she's willing to lose this belt. So I'm gonna see how this one plays out, but it also plays into to like I said, certain factors of the women's division that once we get to the Queen of the Ring segment, we're probably going to be able to discuss a little bit further.
Yes. Yeah. Um, and not only that, Sol Ruca being looking at how she's been presented, especially with her in-ring ability, and it definitely showed that, what few botches she recently had, she bounced back from just like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
you love to see that. And there was even a moment where Becky was being cocky and was gonna go for a soul snatcher to hit Sol Ruca with it, but thought it was pretty funny. And of course, Sol Ruca even hit Becky with her own manhandle slam. And it was really good to see Sol Ruca just really showcase her high flying ability. She even did the Sasuke special in this match as well. And I think more and more, this is another one that just like with Oba Femi, I could see Sol Ruca eventually become like a top women's champion. Not just mid card. Even though she never won the NXT Women's Championship, I think she'll definitely hit uh the top title on the main roster in due time.
Yeah, that's going to come. Like I said, that's going to come fairly fast. But we have to see how they get there. That's probably one of the main points of contention is how they get there.
Right. My only request is I want her and EO to run it back at some point. I want those two to run it back.
Yeah, they kind of need to.
Yeah. Okay, and then the main event of WWE Clash in Italy came down to tribal combat for the for the World Heavyweight Championship and for the title of Tribal Chief. The champion Roman Reigns defending against the Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu. Match lasted a whopping 27 minutes and 12 seconds. Of course, I really felt like this match was just a back and forth of one trying to one up the other and really just showcasing their overall endurance, their overall, I guess, wit to win. And you have these two gladiators just going at it inside the ring, outside the ring, steel steps, toolboxes, tables, just the works. And with how they played this match up to, from start to finish, I felt like it really could have gone either way. And I have to say, I was a little bit surprised with the ending. Um, but sure enough, after a couple of head slams to the exposed turnbuckle posts,
Mm-hmm.
a spear through the table, and then one last spear for good measure puts away the Samoan werewolf. Roman Reigns, still champion and still your tribal chief. Your thoughts?
Here's where the big point of contention comes in for, I can say, for a lot of people and within itself. First, that I made the case in the preview that they could have Jacob win this match and have another angle play in what seems to be the story they're going to be leaning into by the way the post match went, which is, of course, more bloodline saga, more bloodline lore.
Yep.
Now, as far as for the match itself, like I said, it's a standard hardcore match.
Yep.
And so, like I said, they did the spots around the ring. They had the spot kind of like a homage to Cena versus Umaga, where Roman literally threw the ring steps from the ring to Jacob outside.
Yep.
A spot that can go very, very dangerous, very, very fast. But it served its purpose as far as A, okay, you got Roman in the card, and B, you didn't make Jacob look completely out of depth.
Right.
Now, was the result semi predictable? Yes. But at the end of the day, you really can't fault them for doing it, especially when it might be a decision that it's more than likely outside of Triple H's control. Because this can go into a whole other avenue, unfortunately, of the power struggle that you've seen happen within WWE in the TKO era.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you can agree with me here, Blitz, that there has yet to be, since Triple H has taken over creative,
Mm-hmm.
there's yet to be a WrestleMania that has not been somewhat muddled with outside interference creatively.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point.
And now, like I said, folks, we're in a position right now where Triple H might be relying a lot of on the old hits, which is unfortunately not something you want to do as a booker.
Right.
A lot of times, especially in a storyline like the Bloodline, that as much as Paul Heyman, I remember, forgot what year, was saying we're in about third inning. As soon we shouldn't be there at that point anymore. But we saw how the end of the match happened. Apparently tomorrow afternoon our time, because I believe Raw's going to be still in Italy.
Yes, that's correct.
So it'll be probably 3 o'clock Eastern. Three or no, two, because I believe Italy's 6 hours ahead. But
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have Jacob Fatu having to acknowledge Roman, and it looks like we're gonna have the continuation of the OG bloodline versus what's now known as the MFTs,
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
which is something that they've already hashed before.
Yeah.
and and it does feel like they're really going back towards something that they may not need to do, because like I said, people, you can see it in the comments, people are pretty tired of the bloodline at this point.
Yep. Clearly.
Yeah, it's not only the fact that the storyline is done, it's the fact that the storyline is the one thing that's mainly been the focus in the
Exactly.
main roster in WWE. And unfortunately, that affects everybody else. And this has gotten to the point where the fans are frustrated. I'm pretty sure talent's frustrated. But sadly, like I said, it's more than likely part of a larger power play that we're seeing in the back rooms of WWE. And this is a consequence of it.
Yeah. I think you definitely said it best. And you know, given like the outcome of this match and just what happened afterwards, the Usos coming out, you saw Tamatanga, Talatanga, Solo Sokoa. I mean, it just made me kind of feel like, oh, here we go again. So I I don't know. Like you said, we got to see how tomorrow goes down. But I mean, at this point, no excuses now with Jacob Fatu, who's got to acknowledge Roman as tribal chief. And I guess you know, being that this was somebody that was once under the leadership of Solo, and now potentially under the leadership of Roman Reigns, yeah, there's no telling how long this whole bloodline angle as a whole will last. I mean, dude, it might be 3 years from now, and more will be added to it. So, but overall, how did you feel about Clash in Italy? Like, if you had to give it a grade, what would you give it?
I would probably give it a B minus.
B minus?
A B minus in that sense. Like a lot of the matches they exceed expectations. Obviously, Jade versus Rhea. That exceeded expectations. In a way, for me, Becky versus Soul exceeded expectations. But the other matches felt like they were par for the course. Obviously, like Oba versus Brock
Mm-hmm.
felt par for the course. Gunther versus Cody felt a little bit par for the course, which is not a good thing where talents like Cody and Gunther to be in. And like I said, you just literally raise the specter of WWE's creative being fiercely dominated by the bloodline for essentially a decade.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very for a lot of fans, that is a very, very, to put it blunt, horrifying thought.
Yeah.
And sadly, like I said, if you're fans of non WWE wrestling, you know this feeling because this is the issue that New Japan has had for a good long while now. Because with New Japan, they have this thing where they pick their guys that they want to push and then stick with them for an entire decade,
Yep.
no matter what. And some fans really get tired of that. Last one was Okada, where he won how many G1s? I think four.
4 or 5? I think
Mm-hmm.
4.
Yeah, 4 or 5. I think believe in the 2010s.
Yes.
At a certain point, you burn out your fans doing that, and the show probably would have gone a lot better if not even Jacob losing would have been
Mm-hmm.
it. Jacob losing would be par for the course, but then pushing again this next chapter, which once again, because the MFTs aren't SmackDown, it's going to dominate both Raw and SmackDown. And at a certain, like I said, at a certain point, you reach diminishing returns. I think you've gone past that already with the bloodline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely. And using the New Japan example, that's actually a really good example because there's been a handful that they've done. I mean, heck, Hiromu Takahashi was another one. I mean, I like Hiromu, but did he really need to win the Best of Super Juniors tournament 3 straight years in a row? Like, you would have thought way before even 2022 he would have upped to the heavyweight division by that time. Just kind of like how a lot of people are kind of waiting for El Desperado to move up to weight class. And I mean, because I know for the longest time, a big thing that annoyed the mess out of me, it should not have taken as many years as it did for Zack Sabre Jr. to finally win the top title. It took over like 7, 8, no, longer than that. Like, it took way too long for him to finally get the big title. And honestly, I mean, I don't want to, speak doubt as far as like Jacob Fatu or whatnot, but I'm not so sure he's gonna get the rub for the top title. I hope I'm wrong, but
Like like I said, him losing would not have to me wouldn't have affected. It's just the now you're dragging this on to, like I said, lead a storyline that I think we can all agree has been beaten like a dead horse.
hmm
And, and like I said, I get it from one standpoint. Like I said, this is a power play. You're dealing with things that are behind the showroom that are blatantly impacting how the booking's being done. But at the end of the day, the line can only go up for so long for
right?
WWE. And you're getting dangerously close now to that line no longer going up but staying flat. It shouldn't get to that point because the natural direction once it stays flat, unless they get an Austin level character on the main roster, which we can probably debate a little bit later on. The only natural direction is to go down.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that shapes up.
And I give I give it a C. I give the show a C. Um, I think a big thing for me was, you know, the Rhea Jade match, solid. Becky Soul, solid. And I mean, even the main event, did what it needed to. Just, Oba and Brock and Cody and Gunther really was what kind of made the decision easy for me to, not give it such a high grade. But like I said, overall, still did better than I thought it was going to do. So I will give it that. Okay. Now in the post show of WWE Clash in Italy, they have revealed the brackets for this year's King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. Now, you know what? Ladies first. Now, I have to say, I'm not a crazy fan of the format, but also of a certain somebody that's in this tournament. So, the first round, this is for both the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. Each match is a fatal four-way. And then the semis and the finals are singles matches. Now, let's look at the ladies. So Fatal 4-Way match number 1. We have Chelsea Green, Little Miss Bliss, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, who just lost the IC title, and the current WWE Women's or the Women's Champion, Liv Morgan. What? Why? Why is she in this tournament, Rawkus?
If we're gonna go fatal four way, but fatal four way, all right. Number one, like I said, we just talked about the backroom politics was happening. Maybe decisions that are out of Triple H's control. This is one of them, sadly, because more than likely either Mark Shapiro or Emmanuel are almost fixated on trying to make Liv Morgan be a star, like Hollywood level star. Because
Yeah,
remember she has this. She apparently remember I've tried to erase it from memory, but I keep remembering that she has a song
yep.
that she sings herself. Which please don't Liv, please don't. Uh, and obviously she has a belt. She doesn't need to be in this tournament. But this also speaks to an issue with the booking in the women's division in general.
Yep.
She has won this belt in WrestleMania, Liv Morgan, and has yet to have any type of feud towards this.
Right.
Like most of her time's been focusing on either trying to get the Judgment Day, like her fellow stablemates in the Judgment Day, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez, to win the WWE tag titles,
Yep.
or just being around Dom. Nothing else has come up. I don't know if they're just waiting for Stephanie Vaquer to fully be cleared, but it shouldn't be this way.
I mean, heck, they didn't even put Maxine Dupree in this tournament. She's on Raw. I mean, the only other person, I mean, Natty. I mean, she's still listed, and I mean, yeah, Asuka is still away. I mean, that probably would have been the easy choice, if Asuka, was still there. But dang, they're not even given the opportunity to Maxine Dupree.
Yeah, and that's the big issue. Like, okay, you put yourself in such a corner with the Raw women's division where you can allow the champion to do this. And also, well, the concept of the fatal four way is also a consequence of not planning this out, because I'm guessing it's part of the contract that the King and Queen tournaments have to be crowned in Saudi. Because this is the main way to explain when a bracket full of 16 that you're trying to make it from 16 to 4
Mm-hmm.
within a span of 2-3 weeks.
Right.
But like I said, for this matchup, okay, like the underdog is obviously Chelsea Green,
Yes.
and everybody else has been a multiple time world champion.
Yep.
Now it would be nice if Chelsea Green wins this, because it's fairly obvious that, granted, this man has been wrong on a lot of things creatively,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where he himself has lost his smile and then quit. But Road Dogg may have actually been on something with Chelsea Green
Yes.
because it's fairly obvious that the audience gravitates towards her in a way that is not really in tune with what you can say is a comedy character. It's
Yeah.
obvious that people want to rally around her, even without like the obviously the her service. Like I forgot what they call it, the Secret Service knockoff
Oh,
that
Secret
she had.
Hervis. Yeah.
Yeah, they had knockoff because obviously, unfortunately, they fired they fired one of them.
Yeah. Alba Fire.
And then unfortunately, the other one, Piper Niven, just had neck surgery.
Yeah.
So, but you can tell that people like her. People like Chelsea Green,
Yes.
and you got to take into account everything else when you're looking at real life. Alexa Bliss, still a mom. Becky Lynch, still a mom to young girls, I believe.
Yeah.
So they still have a little bit of life still in that factor and trying to make that work-life balance work into it, particularly with Alexa Bliss, because she's been the more recent return among these four.
Mm-hmm.
Like as much as it should be Chelsea Green, if I'm looking at it from this stage, like I said, that it's pretty obvious that the higher ups in TKO view Liv Morgan as a crossover star, and that's probably what they're gonna wind up pushing.
Oof. All right. Let's shift to the bottom. So Ruca, Lyra Valkyria, Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill.
This this is interesting. Okay. You have obviously Soul and Lyra Valkyria who can circle each other around the Intercontinental Championship.
Yep.
And like we mentioned in the Clash of Italy review, Jade's next opponent might be Charlotte.
Yes.
And like we mentioned, like strength for strength, she's one of the few people that could probably equal Charlotte in that level. Not Charlotte, equal Jade as far as raw strength
Mm-hmm.
at that level. The question is, okay, if among these four, okay, Soul's a new champion. She doesn't really need it
Right.
at this point. She needs to, I think she has to firmly establish herself first. Lyra probably wants to get out of this vortex where she's kind of stuck in the mid card level, but she's also in a tag team picture with Bayley.
Yes.
And unfortunately, with Charlotte, Charlotte's already at the level where if she wins, she reaches that Cena LOL Charlotte wins. Which, to be fair, like, yeah, she's kind of earned that. But at the same time, it's not like she's overly pushing herself to be in the top at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
It's been pretty evident that she's shown that she's smart enough to see that she has to be more of a leader leading the next generation. And like we mentioned, Jade has the look.
Yes.
Now, can you build the match around this where it revolves around Soul, Lyra, and Charlotte to take out Jade and then have them through it? Yes. But normally when you do that, it's because you need to take out the person that's the weakest link in the match and then try to have a normal triple threat.
Mm-hmm.
I I can see Lyra winning this.
Ooh.
I can see Lyra winning this because like Charlotte and Jade can cancel each other out.
That's a fair point.
And if we're talking about experience, obviously Lyra has more experience at this level than Soruka. She's Soul's gonna have plenty of other chances to get this to get to the top of this tournament.
Yeah.
But you've been kind of sitting idly by with Lyra, not exactly trying to get her to be in that stage where she should challenge for a world title. But at the same time, you need somebody.
Yeah, I agree.
And, and she's very, very qualified to do that. So if I'm picking somebody, I'll probably say Lyra.
You say Lyra? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you have to also remember Lyra came very close to winning Queen of the Ring once before, because remember she was a finalist. She lost to Nia Jax. Um, Definitely, this could be an opportunity for her to, you know, capitalize on what she came so close to achieving. Okay, sticking to the bottom, let's move to the right. Bailey, Raquel Rodriguez, JC Jane, Kiana James.
This one's probably the most interesting one of these because okay, Bailey, like she's effectively done anything and everything done almost there is to do in WWE
Yep,
except this. She has not won Queen of the Ring.
right.
So there's that. Obviously, Raquel Rodriguez, she has improved very, very well. She's done a lot of improvement
Agree.
in the ring. She's not a fully finished product yet, but she's a hell of a lot better than what she was at this point last year. JC Jane has caught SmackDown, and just been on fire ever since her and Fatal Influence have come up.
Hmm.
Like you can tell that there's a lightning in a bottle moment when it comes to JC Jane and Kiana James does fairly well. She has pretty good skill. Obviously, like I said, the storyline with her and Julia, starting to see a little bit of tension there.
Yep.
But if we're looking at how the other bracket is, I would say more than likely you want to have one person that's going to be like the full veteran that's still trying to go into it. So again, like I mentioned, this is the one thing that she's not won in WWE.
Hmm.
So I can see Bailey winning this out, doing veteran tricks, probably pinning Raquel. But this is probably going to be out of the four matches, probably the most entertaining, if not the second most entertaining.
I see. Um, I know this one was really this one's really tough for me. Like part of me I've kind of narrowed it down to either being Bailey or JC Jane, to be honest with you. I feel like one of those two will probably get it, but I mean, being that you have Raquel and Kiana in there, I mean, the idea even of Kiana getting a push, I wouldn't be against. But yeah, that group is a very intriguing group to call. But let's take it up a notch because I think we can both admit that this one is probably one that stands out maybe the most out of the total four sections. But top right, Roxanne Perez, Io Sky, Julia, and Lash Legend. Take it away.
Okay, this is probably the matchup people are immediately circling to it, just because you have Io versus Julia.
Yep.
Now, obviously, okay, if we want to look strength for strength, Lash obviously has the power in this
Yes.
matchup among these ladies,
Hmm.
and she's actually done fairly well in the main roster.
Yes, absolutely.
And obviously, Roxanne, you cannot say enough good things about her.
The
She's
Prodigy.
Yeah, she's really good in the ring. Has actually done well in a heel role, which was very, very surprising considering how awkward it kind of looked at NXT when she tried it for the first time.
Right.
But in that, but on the main roster, especially now, like she's learned how to do it and learned how to handle it well.
So far, so good.
Mm-hmm. But obviously, nobody, when you put these two men together, nobody gives a fuck about that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck about that, sadly. It is literally people are just going to focus on Io versus Julia.
Yep.
Now, the only factor, unfortunately, is because you have two other people in this match. They can go full stardom. They can go full Joshi.
Right. That is true.
But in a way, it's kind of fitting because I know this what the storyline at Backlash was, where it was supposed to be like Asuka passing the torch to Io.
Yep.
But if we want to look at, if we want to keep it 100, if there's somebody that should be considered an heir to Asuka, it's Julia. Just because of the nature of how they fight and the arcs of their careers. Um,
So, if I can interject, question for you:
mhm,
do you feel like if it wasn't for the sake of Io and Asuka's overall history, I mean, dating back to Triple Tails,
mhm.
this would be kind of easy to do?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Continue.
yeah, because when I mentioned when it comes to obviously trajectory of careers, Asuka obviously as Kana had that 2010 manifesto,
Mm-hmm.
Workshop manifesto that, as a consequence, blackballed her from a lot of the Joshi scene, and she has not forgotten about that.
Right.
And we also know Julia, obviously, famously, how she left Ice Ribbon to go to Stardom. It's never really been fully confirmed whether or not she left under contract. And we kind of know that a lot of people still hold a grudge against Julia for that, particularly Ice Ribbon fans.
Yep.
So that's when, I mean, in a way, those two trajectories to me, Julia's more of Asuka's actual heir than Io is. Io to me is in a plane of her own. You are not
Interesting.
on now. I will say this, and I know it'll get a couple of members of our group chat mad.
Okay.
You're not gonna find an heir to Io really, really fast unless WWE somehow swipes either Hazuki or Ozzy.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
So because Io's in being a grade of her own. And okay, The reason I'm piling this down is because I'm still thinking about who's going to win. I wouldn't put Lash. I wouldn't put Lash in there
Hmm.
because she's still in the tag team picture and she's done fairly well in that. You kind of bottleneck Roxanne in that picture unless you'd want to do a specific match with, well, two matches in a row for Roxanne. So it's either that or if you're going to do it, if you're going to give a push to somebody that you already know kind of needs the push, it's Julia. EOS can do perfectly fine without winning this tournament.
Hmm.
Like her legacy solidified. And like just with Ruca, Lash Legend, well, plenty of times to do this on her own. So it's a coin flip for me between either Roxanne or Julia. Because with Roxanne, you can have a match with Bailey for the semifinals and the possible finals with her versus Liv, which, like I said, ties into the whole Judgment Day storyline.
Hmm.
Or because you're literally down to just these two women being the Joshis. And like I said, Io doesn't need this. You put a rocket to Julia. You can put
So
see. I'll say go
I
ahead.
so I kind of have I have a counterpoint that I kind of want to, you know, get your thoughts on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you mentioned EO doesn't necessarily need this. Here's the thing though. If you had to choose between her winning Queen of the Ring versus winning the Royal Rumble, do you feel like she has a much stronger chance of winning this versus the Royal Rumble? And the reason why I ask is so far the only Joshi that's been able to win the Royal Rumble is Asuka. I
Mm-hmm.
am not too sure if that's ever gonna happen again. To be honest with you, and it's no shade against Io Sky. I mean, Io's a Grand Slam champion in Stardom and a Grand Slam champion in WWE. Like, who else has done that? So my whole thing is just it. It seems like after sort of the endorsement that Asuka gave Io after their match, which was a spectacular match. I mean, after all, they have phenomenal chemistry. Could that be sort of what kind of goes against maybe maybe EO really does need this, so to speak, based off of, comparison and difficulty between this and Royal Rumble, plus the fact that the endorsement Asuka gave. What do you think?
That's a good point. That's a very, very good point when it comes to like maybe Io would need to win this to try to solidify, let's say, that endorsement from Asuka. But I also take a little bit of more real life connotations into it as well. Io did reveal to us almost immediately afterwards that she's been married for almost 3 years, looks to be,
Mm-hmm.
to Evil, who just joined NXT as Naraku. Shout out to Inuyasha fans out there.
Yep.
And they're starting to establish their life together as an actual couple now in the US, now that they're living in the same country.
Yes.
And you also have to take into the account that at least in the Joshi world, we've seen a pretty decent string of marriages and couples coming in fairly soon. Obviously, Yuka Sakazaki with Konosuke Takeshita,
Hmm.
and obviously Natsupoi versus Shingo Takagi.
Yep. Dragon and Fairy.
Mm-hmm. And we've also noticed that we probably, as fans, have put certain countdowns as to when we think now either you, either Yuka or more so Natsupoi are going to leave, retire because they may want to do other things in life, like be mothers.
Yep.
Who's to say that Io doesn't want that at the same time? We
Well,
don't know. We don't know. She's a very, very private person.
yep.
So that could also play into that factor. As much as I can see it, unless it's something where, keep in mind, Asuka said that she's not done with WWE.
Right.
She can still make appearances, said whenever she feels like it. Unless they tie it in, then they say like Io gets a phone call from Asuka trying to hype her up. Then at that point, yeah, Io's winning.
Hmm.
But out of these four, like say, like Roxanne can use it for storyline reasons. If you have Liv go to the finals and you have Bailey come out of it, but you really, really need to really prop up your other Joshi that you have. Because unless they've already have, like I said, folks, unless they already have background deals with people like Hazuki, Azumi, Miyu Yamashita, or even Utami, unless they already have backroom deals with those, with the caliber of those four, and they're just biding their time to come
Hmm.
in, Julius all you got as far as a talent that can work that style.
Yep.
You kind of need to be that person to be highlight to push for that style because at a certain point, I'm pretty sure that Julia is going to be moved to Raw.
I could see it.
And you outside of act outside of Joshi fans who have seen Julia's work in Stardom, who have seen Julia's limited work in Margot
Hmm.
because of injury. We've seen her work in Ice Ribbon.
Yep.
Unless you've seen that, and if you're only basing Julia's skill level based on what you're seeing on the main roster, a matchup versus Zio doesn't look equal.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah. So Julius kind of needs this a bit more than the rest of these three. Like I said, unless you have Liv Morgan in the final.
And that's a really good point, especially considering we really need to see that fire that Julia once had from NXT. I mean, she came in and just instantly just created shockwaves. So now the more that you mention it, I think, yeah, the idea that Julia really needs to come out of that fatal four way definitely makes the most sense. And and when we really think about it, going back for a second to Io and Asuka, I mean, let's keep it real. They're both Hall of Famers right now as we speak. Like you could stop everything, you could stop their careers. They're Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, with Asuka, honestly, she could come back at any point. If she wanted to take a year off, however, if she wanted to do behind the scenes stuff, like I don't think she would lose a step. Because I mean, I think we can all agree that Asuka's pretty much approaching the end of her career. Now, some may pose the question, does she end her career completely in the US, or does she have maybe one last match or maybe even a mini run in her home country? So, I want you to think about that for a moment. And with Io being that, I mean, she's getting a little older, definitely still well in her prime, and I don't think that's gonna deteriorate anytime soon. But I guess really just a what's next for her sort of situation, because when you think about it, she's only won the main title on both brands once. And typically, a lot tends to get measured by how many reigns you have. So, on those two specific things, whichever order you wanna go in, just your thoughts there. Asuka, on as far as her career, and where do you think it could be like the sun setting for her? And then Io, as far as, do you think number of reigns should be a big deal for her or not, given what she's been able to accomplish so far?
The Oscar question seems to be the one that's probably the most intriguing to me because, like I mentioned, not a lot has changed as far as the players that were impacted by her manifesto
Hmm.
and their status in the business. And neither have Oscar's feeling towards the Japanese press, considering how they covered her in the manifesto.
Hmm.
So her having a mini run, it's very difficult to really picture because, like I said, it's it's a situation where she would either have to wait for her WWE contract to expire,
Hmm.
or she would have to only do it in promotions that WWE can work with.
Ah, good point. Actually, I did not think about that. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. And right now, as far as Joshis are concerned, that's either that opens it up to two, but in reality, probably only one.
The flower fields.
Marigold, but that's the one where I said discounted into it because as long as Rossi's there, unless Io herself has those two make peace,
Hmm.
it's not happening. As stubborn as Oscar is, that's not happening.
I see.
The other option is Sendai Girls.
Ooh, her and Mako.
Mhm. Still decent relationship within, like I said, WWE, and has a roster that fits her style a little bit better. But the problem, unfortunately, is that as far as like singles, the people when they have singles matches
Hmm.
with Mako being retired, there's only really two people that you can have a really decent match with right now. Obviously, Big Hash,
Ah, Chihiro Hashimoto.
mm-hmm, or Mika Iwata.
Ooh. Now that's one I'd love to see.
Mm-hmm. Those are unfortunately the other two, unfortunately. Because the only other person I can think of in the roster that could be, like you could say, somewhat ready, that's more of a style, is Manami. But I don't think Manami's there yet. Overall, she'll get there, but she's not there yet, and she has plenty of time to get there.
Hmm.
But that's the only two matchups, and unfortunately, we know the Sendai roster is not exactly big enough where you can have Asuka be in a lot of tag matches.
Right.
And that's the plain factor into it. And there's also the fact that I know people, I know a lot of Joshi fans don't like this, but Asuka's pretty damn loyal to WWE.
Yep. That much is very true.
Yeah, I know. Like with this happened with the way that she left. I know there's a lot of eyebrows. Their eyebrows been raised. It's mainly because of timing.
Hmm.
Because it happened around the same time that the New Day left
Yep.
for money. And there's still a segment of fans, particularly Oscar fans, that are still throwing the theory of, yes, Oscar retired WWE. You're going to see Kana in 90 days,
Ooh. Mm.
which she kind of herself deaded that in her second to last upload to her YouTube channel.
Yep. Kana-chan TV.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, there's really not a lot, unfortunately, when you got to consider the overall health of the Joshi scene.
Yes.
Obviously, unfortunately, the way waves run doesn't really conduce a lot of appearances, a lot of shows where you can highlight her, especially with how long the catch wave tournament's going long.
Yeah, especially considering they typically run like a show a month sometimes too, but it's Gami. I I don't get her booking style, but at the same time, Wave has a lot of history. I mean, it's been there since '07, so I mean,
Yeah, it's been there since seven, and Asuka has won the catch wave tournament.
yes, she has.
Yeah, but it's also the fact that, like I said, they don't have a lot of shows that are not centered around that tournament. And like you've mentioned in the past before, not exactly the easiest promotion to track when you want to watch it.
Nope, not at all.
Mhm. So there's that. Obviously, unfortunately, Ice Ribbon is in very dangerous areas finance wise. So they might not be able to literally afford uh, a fee from Oscar. AWG, same thing. And she doesn't fit Tige. She just doesn't fit Tige.
Oh no, no. Like honestly, hell would probably freeze over if Asuka did a show in TJPW.
Yeah.
Like,
She doesn't fit Tige in that aspect. Now, if you notice, folks, I'm not mentioning Stardom because unfortunately, Stardom, as long as they're with Bushiroad, have aligned themselves with AEW. And
yep.
like I said, Asuka's very, very loyal to WWE. Now, it doesn't mean that she may not be able to try. I'm pretty sure she was very happy when Lady C finally won the Artist Championships.
Oh yes.
So you have that going, but it shows how limited the scene is for somebody like her to make a mini run, because it would either, for a procedure, be Stardom, but that would require a lot of negotiation and Bushiroad probably severing ties with AEW. And then Margot, it requires her to make peace with Rossy Ogawa.
Yeah.
So, fortunately, like I said, that run doesn't, as much as fun it would be, it doesn't really probably translate that much. And we also keep in mind, it does sound like she's already thinking a lot of post wrestling career. We gotta keep remembering she was both a journalist and a graphic designer
Yep. That is.
before she for wrestling. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like she might be wanting to go to dip her toes back into those fields, because obviously in game design, when she left to pursue wrestling, it was still the PS2 Xbox generation.
Yep.
She has a lot more to play with now, both figuratively and literally, considering she's building her personal arcade.
Yep. Which her machines recently just arrived.
Mm-hmm. So she's already probably thinking past that. So I don't know. It'll depend on what can be done.
I see. Oh, that's
Now,
fair.
mhm, with EO,
Okay.
EO's an interesting question, because if you think about it, like her Stardom run, it wasn't the many times that she won belts. Now, granted, Stardom doesn't, at least at the time, didn't switch belts that often.
Mm-hmm.
It was more about the length of time. She still, I think, holds the record for red belt,
Yes.
and she still holds the record, obviously, with Mayu's Thunder Rock for the
Yep.
Goddess titles.
Yep.
That probably has her doing time, duration as being her indicator, rather than length of reigns, because we can also say sometimes having an amount of reigns doesn't exactly mean you've had quality reigns at the same time.
Right.
That's, to put a very good example, which unfortunately might burn a lot of the audience, but it, it's the truth. Mercedes Monet's run in the WWE when it came to championships in the main roster, it became a running joke that her, as Sasha Banks, was able to win championships but never be able to defend it.
Yep.
And that does hit at a certain point. It does hinder it somewhat, even though Mercedes, because she's one of the four horsewomen, it's always going to have a level of prestige not a lot of women are going to get in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Io, to me, is probably going to be at that point where she has the opportunity now to get more titles, because she can easily go after the Intercontinental Championship or the US Championship, two belts that she hasn't won, to fully be like another, what, 2-time, 3-time Grand Slam champion in WWE.
Yeah.
And she has a bit more time, because, like we mentioned, we did talk about the fact that she may be thinking outside of her career, because
Yes.
she is a very private person. But one thing that the WWE style does, because it's not as hard hitting as normal Joshi style,
Mm-hmm.
it does let her body recover better.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a really good point.
Mhm. So she may be more prone. She may be able to last a bit longer than, let's say, if she would have left and went back to Stardom in 2022. So to me, like it's not like probably the amount of championships. It'll be like the duration of them for her. For other people, it'll probably be the amount of championships. For Charlotte, it's going to be the amount of championships.
Yep, that much is true.
But for somebody like Io, it's probably more length of time. She'll If she wins a championship, she'll probably be the one like say I held it for over a year or over 2 years. Because then it'll show a consistency level of work.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. Um, here's hoping for her because I mean, it would be cool for her to be able to do that, especially as time passes and her career winds down. Okay, let's switch to the men. Okay, the matchups here still same format, ladies and gentlemen. First matches are fatal four ways. All right, starting top left. Penta, Obafemi, Solo Sikoa, and Carmelo Hayes. What the heck kind of a combination is that? I mm, I mean, to be honest, like I can't really see it being anybody else other than Obafemi. Just yeah, Obafemi.
Uh,
What what you got? Because I can't really see it being anybody else, despite the combination.
that's the thing to me. Everything hinges on when they're going to have this third match with Brock.
Yeah.
If they're going to have this third match with Brock in Saudi, which is at this show, not a champions, he can't be in the finals. He can't be in the final match,
Right.
which opens up obviously the avenues for Solo, Carmelo, and Penta.
Exactly.
But if you're gonna have the if you're gonna have the rubber match with Brock be in that Saturday night's main event in July, then yeah, there's nobody else at this point. Because granted, yeah, as if you're looking at it for power, Solo can probably somewhat match him in
Mm-hmm.
power, and we know Penta and Hayes will beat him in the speed department,
Right.
which has been a weakness for Oba. Remember, folks, he did lose to Ricky Saints in NXT and Trick Williams in NXT, if I
Yep.
remember correctly.
Yep.
Both people that use speed in their arsenal. It just depends on that. The only way unless they do, well, yeah, no, that leads it to the Saturday Night's main event because you can have Oba reach the finals of this, and then Brock comes in and screws him at the end,
Ah.
and then you set up the rubber match. But you kind of handicapped either way because if it's not if you're gonna have the rubber match United Champions, then Penta's having a great run right now as Intercontinental Champion with the Open Challenge series.
Yes. Hmm.
He's having that, and Carmelo Hayes is starting to get out of the. It's starting to get out of the U.S. title picture. Probably go more towards the main event picture. And Solo's just the oddball in this. He's gonna be stuck in Bloodline lore. So,
Oh,
but
okay.
I, I this is the one where you can go with predictable. It has all but Femi.
Yeah, I definitely am in agreement. It's just it'll be interesting to see how his path is through this tournament because, like you said, if they're really gonna do him and Brock at SummerSlam, he really shouldn't win the tournament per se, but yeah. Um, Shifting to the bottom. Oh God. Dominic Mysterio, Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, Damian Priest. Oh dear. Yeah, you go first on that one.
Okay, let me look at this again. Okay, Dom, Steiner, Trick Williams, and Damian Priest.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, there's no point in Dom winning this. There's none. He needs to be getting ready to stare at the lights for a Grande Americano this stage.
Ah, yes.
It just depends whether they want to do because now that they actually announced where the first night of Triple Mania is going to be,
Mm-hmm.
it's just decided whether or not they want to do it in Las Vegas or they want to do it in Mexico City. I would suggest Mexico City.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So there's no point for him winning it because yes, the AAA Mega Championship counts as a world title. But if you want to look at it objectively, he's not ready yet for a world title on the main roster.
Okay.
Steiner is a little bit it's a little bit difficult because on one end he's obviously the most athletic out of these four,
Right.
but kayfabe wise, he hasn't broken out. He hasn't really broken out of that shell where he's like the one of the heavies for division.
Right.
Every single time they get close to it, they have Paul Heyman do some weird stuff where they say like, nope, not yet. So they kind of start. If you want to talk about fumbling, folks, this is the one that you can say they're starting to fumble.
Yep.
Trick has a bit of the effect, and obviously the entrance.
Oh, absolutely.
And he has, like I said, he has a really good skill set. Damian Priest, former world champion level on his own, obviously has the experience.
Yes.
But we have to remind ourselves also that Trick Williams is also the US champion. Trick doesn't really need to win it right now because he already has feuds brewing with both Carmelo Hayes and Ricky Saints
Right.
around the US title picture. So he doesn't really need it right now. Damian Priest, like I said, he did fairly well as world heavyweight champion, but you also put him back in the tag team picture with him and R-Truth.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, so you kind of put him in that vortex. You kind of have to go Steiner by default.
Yeah. Now, when you really break it down like that, yeah, it seems like that would be the route to go. Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree. Definitely have to agree. Now, we're going to shift to the top right. This one right here is kind of ridiculous. But here we go. Seth Rollins, Javon Evans, Tamatonga, Ricky Saints. I mean, in this situation, it's hard to bet against Seth Rollins.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at it. Okay. Seth is Seth at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Javon Evans, obviously the young gun.
Yep.
Talatonga, which we should just call him Hikaleo. Just call him Hikaleo. And
Oh, this is Talatonga. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, it is
yeah,
Talatonga. Okay.
yeah. Obviously like the big heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And Ricky Saints, obviously like one of your other young stars
Yes.
on the rise. This, okay, doing this leads only to one direction. If Seth comes out of this, which is another match with Roman,
Mm-hmm.
which on one level it kind of makes sense because Seth is the in kayfabe the one betrayal Roman never really let go of.
Right.
But I know people are getting really tired of Seth at a certain level too.
True.
I don't know if because, like I said, we've seen him win like this before, or because he's still using that freaking as part of his name.
Yep.
And you're not. I'm sorry, you're not putting Hikaleo on this. Like
Nah.
he does heavy things. He can do choke stamps in there, but you're not doing this Hikaleo. If it was Tamatonga, then yeah, it'd be a bit more intriguing.
Yeah.
But this is Hikaleo, so it kind of takes off out, which now leaves Javon Evans and Ricky Saints. Either these guys win, you're putting a rocket on their back.
Yeah. That that makes sense.
Because obviously with Ricky, he does have the shadow Cody Rhodes approval.
Yep.
And Javon Evans is one of WWE's answers to the athleticism of AEW. But unfortunately, knowing WWE, they will go with old reliable.
Old reliable. Yeah,
Yep.
that's that's a regular play in their playbook, it seems.
Yeah. Now, personally, like I would love for Javon Evans to be the winner. I would love it.
Oh, you know me too. Hey, North Carolinian over here.
Mm-hmm. Like, because remember, Ricky Saints already has a good established run as Ricky Starks.
Yes,
Seth Rollins is Seth Rollins. He's a Hall of Famer, whether you like it or not.
definitely.
And Hikaleo Hikaleo. Not much, not much you can do when it comes into that. I would really, really love for Javon Evans to come out of this. If they're trying to use this as springboarding, the next stars, and if we look at what we picked for, Femi obviously
Mm-hmm.
has WrestleMania main event written all over him. Steiner has WrestleMania main event written all over him, as long as they don't fumble it.
Right.
If you do that, why not? Why not do this chance? Take the kid that can do a move, can do moves, is very athletic, and he's already proven he will go to Twitter war with AEW if he feels like it.
Yep. That is very true.
Like he could be your direct answer to both Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. Why not do it? Why not take the chance on Javon Evans?
I'd totally be down.
Yeah,
100%.
but no, enough. Fuck it. I'm going with Javon
You're
Evans
going
because
in.
I'm going in because I also got to remember they're doing this sideways track with Roman and the bloodline with the MFTs. They might not touch Seth until the Royal Rumble.
I see. That's understandable. And then the last section. Oh Lord. Jay Uso, L.A. Knight, Royce Keys, and Finn Balor. Now, I'm gonna say this right here and now. Like, they need to make up their mind on L.A. Knight. They need to make up their ever loving minds with LA Knight. Like they're either gonna get him up there or he's gonna be in booking purgatory. I know shout out to one of my subscribers um and Super Trebo, shout out to you. He's talked about how he's wanted LA Knight to be in the world title picture. And you would think by now he would have at least had an opportunity or two, but it has not worked out for him. And this is a guy that's been over with the crowd, um, excellent on the mic, and ring ability. I mean, some like him, some don't. I'm kind of in the middle, but maybe this is where he might finally get the rub. But being that you got him surrounded by Jay Uso and Royce Keys, an up and coming Royce Keys and Finn Balor, who's trying to get back into the world title picture. So, your thoughts on that group?
Okay. First, like folks, if you look at the pictures of these, they highlight the Raw wrestlers and they highlight the SmackDown wrestlers. So apparently Finn Balor has been moved to SmackDown,
Yeah,
which kind of, yes, it does free him of the Judgment Day vortex,
yeah,
which may be needed. And he might present himself to be a good opponent for Cody down the line with Bullet Club lore, mind you. This one's interesting because okay, Jay has fallen back into being the loyal soldier in the bloodline lore
yep.
to the point where I feel like the story should be that he has Stockholm syndrome. And with Royce Keys, you can take your time with him because he kind of somewhat caught an audible with him and Gunther prior
Mm,
to Clash in Italy.
interesting. Okay.
And you can tell that he's going to be somewhat involved in that with the MFTs. Now, and they still have time. Now, age-wise, obviously, it's always been debatable, unfortunately, now, as far as the age of Royce Keys. Some people will say mid-30s, some people are saying early 40s. As far as I know, he does not have a Cuban birth certificate. So he probably leaned more to the mid-30 side.
Mm-hmm.
Because him and Jacob have been running mates for a good while on the West Coast scene. And Finn is kind of a wild card here. Like I said, you free him of the Judgment Day vortex, and he is that one guy that out of all of the veterans has the biggest what if factor.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the what if, like, what if he didn't injure his shoulder
Ah.
when he won the Universal Championship?
Yep. First ever Universal Champion. Yep.
Mm-hmm. His career might have been drastically different, or would have been the same. Because we also got to remember that was still with Vince in power.
Yes.
And that factor maybe also play into with LA Knight too. Because he is, and you can tell he's getting frustrated with being the bridesmaid and never the bride in scenarios.
Yep.
Like, I would have had him win Money in the Bank last year.
Yeah, he needs something, like,
Yeah.
for reals.
So if we take that into account, like I said, you can take your time with Royce Keys. Finn Balor can build his own path towards Cody. And like we mentioned, it doesn't need to be tied to bloodline lore. There's Bullet Club lore.
Yep. That is a thing.
Mm-hmm. And Jay, what can you say about Jay? The man has an entrance. The man gets along with the crowd. And he's probably another good example of the difference between how people view him in the IWC
Mm-hmm.
versus how people view him in the live audience. Because there's a lot of crowd that still do the yeet when he commands them to.
Yep. He's still the Yeet Man.
But at the same time, you pigeonhole him to being the loyal soldier and the bloodline.
Yep.
And
Same dude that won the freaking Royal Rumble last year. It's
mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yep. You pigeonhole him back into that, which means it makes no sense for him to win that unless he's challenging Cody.
Yeah.
But then at that point, he probably would be on SmackDown,
Right.
which takes him away from the bloodline, at least the main group.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no point in winning. Like, it's a coin flip right now. Either Finn Balor or LA Knight. You tease people long enough with LA Knight. Pull the trigger on LA Knight. You, even though yes, he is older.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. If we have this lineup, at least the way I picked it, over Femi, Steiner, Javon Evans, he would obviously be the old veteran of that group.
Yep.
But you can't deny that he has worked his ass off. And he was able to get out of that stupid gimmick Max Dupree.
Oh yeah.
He was able to get out of that. He could finally find a way to get out of that little vortex that he's in right now. And have him right out with it because he's still luckily young enough and he still moves fairly well enough where he can still have a good run for a few years.
Yeah.
And you kind of need that steady veteran hand at the top of the scene while the new generation comes up.
That makes sense. Um, shoot. That is quite a lineup for both tournaments. And well, starts tomorrow. Starts well, actually later on today because it's after midnight. But yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how these tournaments play out. Okay, want to switch gears um and show and highlight a particular Joshi wrestler who just made her AEW debut in successful fashion in preparation for her Owen Hart Cup tournament match against Persephone. She, as in Wild Heart, Hazuki, one half of FWC, made her AEW debut, defeating Maya World in a great back and forth match. Two wrestlers that have wrestled each other before, that have chemistry together. Not to mention, Hazuki caps it off with a backstage English promo. So, my question for you, Rawkus, being that, of course, she's still the current Spark Joshi World Champion, has been for a year now and more, and considering the presence that she's had in the U.S. when she does come to the U.S., especially considering this is somebody that grew up as a WWE fan. She's a fan of Randy Orton, John Cena, CM Punk, Nikki Bella, and her top pick, Kelly Kelly. How long do you think the time comes? Now she's 28 years old before the consideration of her taking a excursion slash permanent residence in the U.S.
Oh, that's an interesting question. That's a very, very interesting question. Because with Hazuki, it's almost a semi-complicated, semi-not complicated situation. On one hand, she's shown to be pretty, on some level, pretty loyal to Stardom.
Mm-hmm.
And she's also shown that she's taken an interest in at least getting the rookies in Stardom ready.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously, like I said, her top people right now is Fuwa-chan.
Yep.
But at the same time, there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of WWE fandom in that young lady,
Oh yeah.
particularly with Kelly Kelly. Now, AW can pick her up. There's no mistake. AW can pick her up.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, unfortunately, with picking her up, if you're AEW, is one, it does still feel like she's a package deal. Where if you're bringing in Hazuki, you're gonna bring Koguma in by default.
Ah, okay.
And two, outside of the ring, she seems to be really, really shy. And that means she's going to need a pretty good support system around her. Now, obviously, Sumi Scott is there.
Yes.
She is pretty much the gatekeeper for pretty much any Joshi that comes into the US.
Yep.
And you can say that she can have at least a somewhat good supporting group in AW with Hikaru Shida, Yuka Sakazaki, and Mina Shirakawa.
Yep. It's a good group.
Mm-hmm. Good group if they were consistently on Dynamite and Collision.
Right.
Right now, Hikaru Shida luckily has been on television for at least a month. The first time that has happened in a very long time. And unfortunately, Yuka Sakazaki is trapped in witness protection, or what I call Ring of Honor, witness protection. And Mina's kind of somewhat, unfortunately, stuck in that same vortex where you want her to win.
Mm-hmm.
You want her to at least win the TBS title.
Yes.
But it doesn't look like Tony Khan sees her as that. Because even the championship that she won in Ring of Honor was an interim championship.
Yes. Technically, interim championship.
Yeah. So you would figure that would be the group, but it doesn't. It doesn't really strike as an overall good support group for somebody like Hazuki. Now, on the flip side, with WWE, it's Io and Julia.
Yep.
But one, she has a much closer relationship with Io than she does with all of the other Joshis that we mentioned. And two, she is a very, very big WWE fan.
Yes, she is. That's
Oh,
an understatement.
yep. Almost to the point where it gets close to Mariah May territory.
Ah. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because, like, I think we can all agree, folks, if Mariah May would have stayed in AEW, she probably would have a good program with Tekla right now.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
But she did have WWE in her heart for a whole time.
Yep.
And we have to see how her run as Blake Monroe in the main roster is going to be. Because they gone back to her, even though she already debuted in the dark match, going back to her coming soon. You also have to take into account with Hazuki that while she is learning English. She did a somewhat decent promo in English.
Yep.
it's gonna take a good while for her to learn it at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. She's not anywhere near like Mina Shirakawa level.
Yeah. Like with Mina, it's almost become a fluid second language. Same thing with EO.
Yeah.
EO's become a pretty much fluid second language.
Yes.
And unfortunately, particularly in WWE, you kind of need to have those language skills be really, really good. Otherwise, that company is going to try to put you with a mouthpiece,
Yep.
like they have with Julia.
Yep. They did with Kiana James.
Yeah. So, like I say, Hazuki is it's gonna be an interesting thing to watch because, like I mentioned, it feels like it, and also in a way, like I said, you have to take Koguma as part of the deal, and Koguma in AW doesn't really fit, and she doesn't really fit in WWE.
Kokuma. Hmm. I, I mean, she would be the resident comedy character. I mean, I could see her probably get paired up with Akira Tozawa in WWE. AEW, ugh, that that's a toughie.
Yeah, and it doesn't. AEW doesn't really hit, unfortunately.
Right,
Now, AEW fans will try to say, no, she's wrestled there before, or in ROH, or oh, what about Tam? Tam was more on the dramatic side,
right.
which AEW is keen to do fairly well. And like I mentioned, ROH is witness protection.
Yes.
The thing about it, unfortunately, is can you translate the Kuma to an English audience?
They would have to get the message that Kuma means bear.
Yeah. Which means you have to translate the song to her being a bear.
Yeah, because I mean, Kuma's bear, Koguma is little bear.
Yeah.
So they would have to
And
pick up on that.
yeah, because that's the thing. To an American audience, the way she does the Kuma probably doesn't hit the same way as it does with a Japanese audience.
Nah. At least I don't think it would initially.
Mm-hmm.
Mean maybe over time, but it would have to catch the crowd. It would have to catch the crowd. Um, but it'll be curious to see how Hazuki, um, one how far she gets in this tournament, and two if they decide to follow up with her for more bookings in the future in AEW. Because I know some fans would like to see her on Forbidden Door, which is a possibility, I think. Um, but I wanna leave this two-part question with you before we hit the final topic, and I'm gonna just lay it on you very simple. First part, white belt, yes or no? Second part, red belt, yes or no? Before Hazuki ever calls it quits on her career, whenever that time will be, does she win one, the other, or both of those belts between now and the time she calls it quits?
Oh, we did mention she's pretty loyal to Stardom, but we also did mention that she wasn't. Then we have to think about the retirement angle. That's been one of the biggest mysteries in Joshi in the past decade.
Yep.
Like, what really causes Hazuki to retire for a couple of years? Because when she did the speech, she didn't sound happy.
No, she wasn't.
Yeah. And I would probably say yes to the white belt. But it would have to be, it may have to be Margot.
Oh, so you don't think she wins the World of Stardom championship, but you don't think she wins the Wonder of Stardom, but the Mario Gold United National title?
Yeah, because
Interesting. Okay.
she still has that stipulation. She hasn't fully broken it yet. Or if I remember correctly, the last time she challenged for the white belt said, if I don't win, I won't challenge for it again.
What was that?
I,
Official, unofficial, or
I think it was like in a way she put, I think she put it in one of the promos,
interesting?
which was mainly had people say that's one of the reasons, well, she's leaving.
Ah,
That could be the case. Now, red belt, if she stays, I would probably say I would hedge in the maybe area. And that one I would say was Stardom.
gotcha.
Because it looks like Stardom is leaning towards the area where you're either in the trajectory where your ceiling is the white belt or your ceiling is the red belt. It doesn't look like they want to do that many more Grand Slam champions, considering they have a good amount of wrestlers that can get to that point.
Right.
And for the years of service, and for the fact that a lot of that dojo does trust her enough
Mm-hmm.
to be a leader, I could see her winning the like if it were winning the red belt. If the red belt was actually in the picture, it would be in Stardom. It would
Okay.
it would probably be like a really short reign, but it'd be one of those reigns where you say like, you know what, you did good.
I see. I see. Yeah, it would. I'm hoping that something like that happens because I mean, still to this day, the only singles title that she's won in Stardom, High Speed. So, and she hasn't won that many singles titles in general in her career. I mean, there was that. I mean, she's currently holding the Spark Joshi World Championship, and it took her years before she even won another singles championship. And she's a former CMLL Japan Women's Champion. So yeah, not many there. Many can say that she's been more of a tag team specialist, but hopefully she'll finally get that rub. The sooner the better, because she's been long overdue. Okay,
That's an understatement. Yeah.
yeah, for reals. Okay, to close out, um, final topic, and this is something that is very intriguing because normally this is not the case. So for this year's two big Joshi Pro Wrestling tournaments, I mean, we already know the Catch the Wave tournament's going on. Too bad it's not easy to see. But we have the Stardom 5-star Grand Prix of this year, which just a while back announced its schedule, which will begin on July 18th. Okay? And then the finals for that will be August 23rd. So they will start off at the Ibarra Wave Arena, formerly the Ota City General Gymnasium, and they will finish at the Ryogoku Sumo Hall, or Ryogoku Kokugikan. And then, all of a sudden, just the other day, Marigold releases the schedule for the Dreamstar, this year's Dreamstar Grand Prix 2026, which begins August 28th at Korakuen Hall and will end with the finals on September 20th at Korakuen Hall. So that's right, Joshi fans, rejoice. You will be able to catch the 5-star Grand Prix first in its entirety, and then the Dreamstar Grand Prix next in its entirety. Nothing is overlapping. It's like Christmas came early. What are your thoughts on the schedule being laid out like this? Is this more of a just a total opposite strategy? Like, what are your thoughts there?
Okay, now you're starting to get it. Yeah, you're starting to get into my wheelhouse there. Okay. First, I'm kind of surprised that the order isn't in reverse. Where
Oh, okay.
where the Dream Star would be first, and then the 5-star would come after. Because we have to remember, folks, one of the sticking questions when it comes to Tommy Hayashishida is if she's sticking around long enough for the 5-star.
Good question. Yeah.
And the fact that it's happening sooner might lean towards the direction of maybe she's not sticking around that long. Because then you ended at the end of August, and you need to, because you're not doing this at any other pay-per-view. If you're gonna have, if it goes in that route, the only pay-per-view that you're gonna do it is Dream Queendom.
Yeah. Which is
That's it.
which is in December.
Yeah. So you need a 4-month build for that matchup with Utami and Saya. Now, granted, yes, Sai Kamatani could easily win the red belt back from Kurara during that time,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to do that. But you're doing this that soon, which also leaves a lot to be desired as far as possibly getting visas for possible CMLL or MLW talent
Yep.
to appear, which leans into the question, sadly, that we're probably going to have it be almost completely be the full roster again, which they have done in the recent years, and it hasn't exactly worked.
True.
So that's one interesting part when it comes to with Stardom. With Marigold, I think they learned their lesson that we shouldn't run the tournament at the same time,
Right.
because you're not, unfortunately, you're not going to win the attendance war with Stardom.
Exactly.
You're not going to win it for as long as we don't know how long Mayu's out. And does Polly also play into the factor, into the reason why it went a little bit later? It does give time for Mayu, Yuzuki, Arena Yamanaka to come into that tournament somewhat, if not fully healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So that does help. But we also did mention that the length of time. It looks like with Stardom, you said it's 16 shows from the beginning to the 5-star finals.
Yes, 16 shows for the 5-star Grand Prix, 10 for the Dreamstar Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm. Which obviously tells you folks, except Margot is smart enough to know that they don't have a big enough roster to do.
Oh, excuse me. Nine shows, not 10. Nine for the Dreamstar.
Which, like I said, it's less than half. It's a little bit more than half of the time for Stardom.
Yep.
But still, that tells you that luckily they're learning their lesson as far as we don't have enough roster members to try to stretch this out. So we shouldn't stretch it out.
Oh,
So that
one other correction. So actually it was 10 because apparently on the 5th of September they're doing a day show and a night show in Osaka. So it is 10. I'm sorry. My apologies.
okay. Still luckily around the same day, but almost all those shows are going to be exclusively for Dreamstar.
Yes,
So they're not having like independent shows in between.
correct.
So, but either way, they've learned their lesson. They've learned that they need to do a tournament where they can be the sole focus of it. Because last year, trying to keep, if you were one of the fans that had the Excel sheets, trying to keep up
Mm-hmm.
with those tournaments, it became work. It became actual work.
Oh yes.
So this helps out fans. This helps out the wrestlers. And since the fact that they know they don't have to rush when it comes to compete and do other endeavors. It's just now the main picture is going to be, particularly with Stardom, because obviously they have other shows. Like I think Crimson Nightmare might become a regular show, and when we talked about when it came to New Japan sale, historic crossover is pretty much dead.
Yeah, I think that's definitely accurate.
Mm-hmm. So that doesn't leave a lot of big shows from the 5-star finals to Dream Queendom.
Yeah, I mean, unless they add like a brand new show maybe in September, and then I believe October going into November is usually the Goddess Tag League.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see how they do that, cause yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. Now they could come out of the blue and just say, "Oh yeah, we're going to do Triangle Derby too," which would be fun.
Yeah, I'd be down. They've only ran that twice, so
Yeah, but yeah, that's more interesting thing because also with the Dream Star, it gives you a little bit more time to think over who would be the favorite.
right.
Because it's Stardom right now, mainly because Korara's the champion, because she holds the red belt.
Hmm.
It feels a little bit more wide open.
But see, you also got to factor in there's going to be 12 total ladies that make it to the playoffs for the 5 star. Like, I can't imagine how big of a roster they're going to have for this tournament. And, usually the champion is in the 5 star. So it's like,
Yep.
I
It is
mean,
usually, yeah, she's usually in the 5 star, with the recent exception obviously being Natsuko Tora.
oh yeah, yeah,
But that's the factor that's going to play into it. That's going to be something to see once people have to do previews to the 5 star. Because Carrara has the red belt, it does feel more wide open.
yeah. I definitely agree because honestly, whoever wins the 5 star, I honestly don't see them losing to Carrara.
Yeah. Now, if you don't run Utami versus Saya at the conversion, and you have some shenanigans going place where the match where Carrara Saya 2 is at the conversion, then yeah, you just put the belt back on Saya, and then you have the standard picture for what's been the 5 star for the last couple of years,
Yeah,
which might be the route they may want to go to, but we don't know. Like I said, everything kind of hinges on when Utami's going to get this match.
yep. And then it's already pretty interesting what they've been doing with her since returning because now apparently Hanan is trying to get Matoy and Utami to join Stars. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, Matoy is kind of weird because I think she kind of already semi accepted to be an apprentice for Cosmic Angels,
Mm-hmm.
and Utami in Stars. Utami in Stars feels like if you would have put Tam in Donna Del Mondo.
I mean, it almost doesn't even make any sense just like being Stars. I mean, even though she made it last a bit, but like, yeah, like,
Well, with B, it was a situation where we all knew the betrayal was coming. It was just a matter of when the betrayal would happen.
right,
With Utami, it's a situation where Hanan literally put is recruiting somebody to do a mutiny on her.
I see. Huh.
Because obviously they say Utami, former faction leader, never was usurped as the faction leader.
Right.
And sorry to say to our boy Hendrix when it comes into this, if you put Utami and Hanan in front of me and say who's probably the more natural leader, I'm gonna put in Utami.
Yeah.
Can Hanan get there? Yes.
I cannot picture a lineup of Hanan, Saya Ida, Yuria Hime, Momo Kogo, and Utami?
Yeah.
Like, shoot.
If anything, okay, if you're gonna put Utami in the faction, which means she's sticking long term, more than likely God's Eye is gonna be your best bet.
I think that would make the most sense. Like, unless, well, unless they pull a fast one and they put her in Mi Vida Loca. I think it just really comes down to could her and Suzu get along?
Yeah, that's the big factor, but they kind of need the full time members.
Yeah,
They do need it, so that's more of a necessity because well, yeah, putting the Tommy in God's Eye right now would be like putting Moses Malone in the 83 76ers.
yeah.
And
Not,
there's also the fact that her and Shuri may not fully get along.
yeah. Shoot, not only her, but I don't even think her and Ami would get along.
Mhm. And Neogen, like I said, Neogen is out of the age wise. If age is one of those requirements for Neogenesis, Utami may be out of the question.
Oh, I think it's more than age with her. I don't think she would fit personality wise.
Well, oh, no, no. Think about it. She has somewhat alcoholic tendencies,
I mean, okay, there's that. There is that,
and
but she tends to kind of be very chill slash not loud.
you kind of do need that though when you're in a party group. You kind of need that laid back person at times. And
Yeah,
SOK is normally that by default because she's the designated driver of the group.
right, right.
But I can see a Tommy there. The only other option, okay, if Watami's sticking long term, which means she's going to have to be in the faction. Oh God, they might do a redux of V Nexus V. They might legit do that. Her and Micah might just say, you know what? We drink together, we party together. You made it work with Mina, have it work with me.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. Apparently, Micah and Hanako are still cool, and I mean, I don't know about Waka. And then again, Waka might get recruited for stars.
Yeah, that Waka would fit stars.
Yeah,
Waka would fit stars. They need the numbers, and it would seem weird her going back to Cosmic Angels.
yeah. I don't know how Poi would feel about that.
Well, to be fair, it kind of, if you think about it, she didn't give him much of a choice. Mina kind of dragged her out of Cosmic Angels.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Poi might just be like, do you want to be here? So yes, okay. Now vote for me for leader.
Now, now I tell you this: the one person that I'm gonna be keeping an eye out as far as what faction she ends up landing in when the time comes is Fuwa-chan.
Yeah, that one's a little bit difficult to gauge. It's she's kind of I think she's kind of within the age range for Neogen,
Yeah.
and she does have a colorful personality that makes Neogen work. So there's that.
Hmm.
Like we mentioned, Stars kind of needs the numbers. Her and Cosmic Angels would only be funny because of her interactions with Soriano.
Oh yeah.
But there's also the factor that if they decide maybe to ride out with Hazuki, Hazuki can make a faction with her.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Mhm.
That is a very good point.
Like she wouldn't fit really well in Vita Loca. Hate is almost an automatic no.
Right.
The only other group that's not really a faction, but kind of is a faction, the Ito Respect Army.
Oh yeah. Who just acquired Rion.
Yeah, so she might fit there, but she might also work well. Like May Sarah, even when she was with Suzu and as Crazy Star when they were unaffiliated,
Uh-huh.
they kind of worked being unaffiliated.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And Fu Chan might actually work well being unaffiliated.
Yeah. I like her theme. Her theme is catchy.
It kind of is, yeah. Yeah, so that was going to be interesting.
But I will say it is funny when she's being goofy and annoying the crap out of Sariano.
Yeah, it is.
But but yeah. Uh but yeah, that's very I'm very excited just with the tournament split like that and just really being able to put a good amount of focus on each without like much overlapping. So looking forward to both, but of course, final stop for Stardom is the conversion. The final stop for Marigold before the Dream Star is Summer Destiny. So very similar in that aspect. But anyways, uh want to allow you the opportunity to give some final words on like any of the subjects or whatnot. And then also while you're at it, plug in your socials, whatever info you want to share, let folks know how they can reach you. The floor is yours. Have at it.
All right. Now, I will highlight probably the one event that we didn't talk about that's WWE related that I think now after Clash of Italy, we can safely say was probably the event of the weekend
Mm-hmm.
and is probably in the running for match of the year. The mask versus mask match
Ah,
last night at
tr-
AAA Noche de los Grandes.
yes.
Yeah, between the now unmasked Chad Gable
Yep.
and El Grande Americano. Uh,
Yes.
Watching that from beginning to end, if you're a fan of WWE, will make you glad and make you pissed off at the same time.
Yeah.
It'll make you glad because the pop that Ludwig Kaiser got,
Yes. Oh, yes.
both in the entrance, in the lead up, and then when he finally won that match, we were done timing wise, that match was 33 minutes. It was the longest match of the weekend.
Yep.
And it was the perfect ending. The only thing that would have made it even more perfect from a cinematic telenovela sense
Mm-hmm.
was if Ludwig would have proposed to Andrea Basarte right there.
Ah, yes. Yes.
But like I said, it makes you see that when they actually give a damn,
Mm-hmm.
WWE or at least WWE related booking can actually churn out compelling, yes, cinema level stories, but that keep you entertained from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this match did. There were no low points in this match. And even up to the post when normally, like I said, if you're not a fan of Lucha Libre, normally when a mask versus mask happens, the loser has to announce his full name.
Yes.
And it's not a gimmick name. He has to actually announce his shoot name. He has to normally announce his shoot name, where he's from, how long he's been a professional wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
and then he gives a speech. And then normally gives a speech right afterwards. And then even in that, Chad Gable, I can honestly say, hit it out of the park.
Oh yes. Yes, he did.
Because folks, you can watch it, folks. He mentioned it. Said, I put on this mask to learn the arts of lucha and to beat the luchadors that I hated. But in doing so, he said he learned about the Mexican culture, the culture of lucha libre, what the mask means, and he grew to appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
And he did promise he will be back in AAA as Chad Gable. And obviously, given one thing to do is you actually give your mask to the luchador to beat you.
Yep.
And he told him, like, I'll always be the original Gran Americano, but now you're the only Gran Americano.
Mm-hmm. Well
And the
said.
part, yeah, and the part that pisses you off if you're a WWE fan is the fact that if they can do this in AAA, there's no excuse for them not to be able to do it on Raw and SmackDown.
Right.
Absolutely none.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
So they.
And yeah, and that show wasn't bad, and that show actually gets is split up over two different shows because they did have the other sides of the matches because I think they had like 3 or 4 matches that they didn't show last night,
Ah.
but that they did film the same day. They're gonna put on the YouTube channel next week,
Mm-hmm.
and that's I think the little matches that they had with like the smaller groups and the triple threat match for the women that's featuring Bailey.
Ah. Right on.
So that's gonna be interesting. But like I said, that was a good show from beginning to end. And that match, like I said, that match is gonna be by the end of the year, it'll be in the top 5 conversation.
Yeah. I could see it. I could definitely see it.
But with that being said, folks, if you see the socials anywhere, whether it's Twitter, Blue Sky, IG, Threads, Spill, Spotto, pretty much any place that I can actually put the socials on in the same handle, Rawkuz99. Definitely catch me on there. And like I said, we speaking of a variety of topics. And normally, if it's either Mondays or Wednesdays, I'm also on the Pound for Pound Box Report, where my good, like I say, good hosts, Michael Wilson, Gil Farkathal. We have a lot. Like I said, we have a lot to discuss. Obviously, for Nick Kane on the next show, because It was a full weekend. It was a full weekend when it came last night. I will admit, I was watching three screens. I had Oshaki Foster versus Raymond Ford on my TV, the zone.
Mm-hmm.
I had Stephanie Hahn versus Holly Holm on my phone.
Nice.
And I had, obviously, the Grande Americanos match on my laptop. So it was pretty similar to keep up. And just a heads up, I think you will hear me, Mike, and Gail not be too kind to the judges when it came to the Stephanie Hahn and Holly Holm fight.
Noted. Noted. That's what's up. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, as usual, thank y'all so much for coming out and showing your support. Raucus, these past couple of recordings, it's been an honor having you on here, and just really you bring so much to the table. So thank you so much again. Just being quick on the draw, being flexible. Um, 1,000,000% appreciate your time.
Hey, no problem. Like I said, we're gonna try to do as much as we can, folks. Hopefully, it won't just be me and Blitz. We mentioned we do have other things in the works, and hopefully by then you will see what we have cooking.
Indeed. So y'all got to do your part and keep in touch with us, keep an eye on us, and just be ready. Be ready at all times. But once again, to all those that catch the archives, let us know y'all's thoughts on WWE Clash in Italy. Did you enjoy the show? What were your favorite matches? What were your least favorites? Let us know your thoughts there. How do y'all feel about the King and Queen of the Ring tournament brackets that were announced? Of course, word is they'll begin uh, on the upcoming episode of Raw. And of course, the finals will take place at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia, end of June. Also, what did y'all think of Hazuki's AEW debut? And what do you think her chances are of potentially winning the Owen Hart Cup? Or maybe she finally wins the red or white belt in Stardom or Marigold. But let me know y'all's thoughts there. And are y'all excited for both the 5-star Grand Prix and the Dreamstar Grand Prix? They're split up. You'll be able to enjoy them both separately without any overlap, any interference from the competition. Christmas came early. So let us know y'all's thoughts there. And as usual, don't forget to like, comment, follow, subscribe, all of the above, not only for me, but for Rawkuz99 as well. And thank y'all so much for watching, and we hope y'all enjoyed this video. So, for myself, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram, and Rawkuz99, we will see y'all in the next video and our live stream. We have made it through the end of May. Welcome the month of June as summer starts to approach. We will see y'all there. Be safe and have a good week. Peace.